Right, here we go, first video. Bear with me because the first few videos are going to be pretty rough and ready, but I thought it's much more important to get some content up for you to get cooking rather than to have it perfect. But hopefully over the next few weeks I can learn a bit how to use all the different apps and things to cut them better. And if anyone has got good ideas or can help, then just shout and let me know. So today we're going to make some scones. It's Mother's Day tomorrow, and I'm sure, like me, loads of people are not going to be seeing their mum. And are not going out, so we might as well have something at home, and scones are a great one because they're all the store cupboard ingredients, so hopefully you've got most of this at home. We have got 225 grams of self-raising flour. If you haven't got self-raising flour but you've got plain, that's fine. You can just add a teaspoon of baking powder to your plain flour and it will work exactly the same. We've got 55 grams of butter. The butter's cold and I've just cut it into small cubes to make it much easier to rub in. So I'm going to add my butter to my flour. Then the other ingredients that we've got is 115 millilitres of milk. So when it comes to liquids, the easiest way to measure them, if they are something similar in consistency to water, is to weigh them, because 1 milliliter weighs 1 gram. So if you've got digital scales, it's much more accurate and it's easy to weigh. A really good one for kids for practicing maths with. So I've actually weighed out 125 rather than 115. And when I add it, I'm going to leave about a tablespoon in the bottom of the bowl. And that's just because we don't know how much liquid the scones are going to need. So if it's a bit dry at the bottom, we can add a bit more. And the leftovers we're going to use to glaze the scones anyway. Last couple of ingredients, some sugar. So just any caster sugar, you can use golden or white, whatever you've got. And I've got some raisins here. You can leave them out if you don't like fruit scones. If you want to make savoury ones instead, you can leave out the sugar and the raisins, and you could add a big handful of your favourite cheese. Any sort of hard cheese is good. Maybe some chives or some spring onions if you've got them to hand. Fresh herbs, whatever you want to go in them. So first job, you just move these ingredients out of the way, is going to be to rub in. So rubbing in involves getting your thumbs, working the butter in between your fingertips and your thumbs. Don't use the palms of your hands because they're hot, and you don't really want your butter to get hot. And rubbing in is a really good skill to practice because it's the basics for pastry. So if you can rub in and you can make scones, then you can also make things like crumble, and you can make short crust pastry, which then you can use to make loads of stuff like nice quiches and tarts and Cornish pasties. You can use it to make dumplings as well, so it's all the same skill. I'm putting together a 30-day cookery challenge, and the idea is to slowly build up all your skills. So hopefully you'll find as you go, you start to understand what you're doing, and then you can realise that you can apply it to loads of different recipes. So once you've learnt to do one thing, it opens up lots of other things for you. So rubbing in takes a few minutes. I'll do it as quickly as I can. So this week for the plan, do let me know if there's things that you would like to cook, and I'll try and incorporate them. So the idea is to run a cooking challenge if you want to do it. You don't have to, you can pick and choose, and I'm going to try and get most of those recipes up on the website, and then I'm trying to get as many videoed for you as well. And alongside that, then I was going to just try and get as many recipes online as I can. So we have loads of different recipes. We run so many different classes at the cookery school normally. I've got a massive load of recipes that I can share. Everything from teenage cooking. I thought maybe people might want me to put up a D.O.V. Qualifying course, because if you've got teenagers at home and they're doing D.O.V., you can use cooking as your skill, and at least that's just something positive that you can tick off along the way with your education stuff. And also people learn to cook for adults. The recipes I'm putting up are designed to be nice and simple, but they are skills that are really good for adults as well as for kids. And a lot of the recipes you can mix and match. So say for example something like meatballs, we can do a really simple kids version, or we can spice it up with chili and fennel and things like that to make it a bit more adult. So that's the way I'll often cook at home anyway. So I'll make one basic dish, and then I'll make an adult version and a kids version, which is quite a nice thing to do. Also, people have asked me about gluten-free options. I can give you a gluten-free recipe if I've got one, and I've got the ingredients to try it if not. And also vegetarian. I teach a lot of vegetarian and vegan clients, so where I can also give you vegetarian options. So this is all rubbed in now. What we want to do is get it the texture of breadcrumbs. So if you can see, it goes slightly very, very pale creamy yellow colour, and there's no lumps. Good way to test for lumps. Tap the side of the bowl, and there you go. Right, so now that this is ready, we are going to add the rest of our dry ingredients. So we've got sugar, it's going to go in, and we've also got raisins. So I was saying you can put whatever you want in them. I'm going to just give that a good stir before I add my liquid to make sure it's all evenly mixed. And the next job is going to be to add my milk. So as I was saying, I've got 10 millilitres too much milk in this bowl, and I'm just going to leave it about a tablespoon in the bottom. So there we go, I've got about a tablespoon, if you can see that, left in there. I'm going to give it a really good stir. And what I want to do is hopefully get it to quite a fairly sticky dough. So give it a really good stir. This is such a nice recipe to make with kids. Go out, kids, if you're cooking along, you get your hands in soon. Woo, making a mess already. So once it's picked up all those dry bits, I'll pick up my bits I've spilt, get my sleeves up, and I'm going to get my hands in. So I meant to say at the beginning of the video, first thing you want to do whenever you're cooking, especially at the moment, is to make sure you've washed your hands really, really well. And all I'm going to do is pull it together into a dough. So I'm not going to knead it for ages. And as soon as I've got a nice dough, I'm going to put it down on the surface. So I've still got a few dry bits. I've got some extra flour here. I'll put a little bit of flour down so it doesn't stick. And I'm just going to pat it out. So I'm not going to use a rolling pin, because if I use a rolling pin, it's going to work the dough too much. And I actually don't want it that thin, because I want my scones to rise up nice and high. So I've got it about 2.5 centimetres or an inch thick. And then I've got my cutter. So if you haven't got a cutter at home, don't worry, you can use a glass or anything that you can push in and pull out. A couple of tricks when you're making scones. When you put your cutter in, you want to put it in straight down and straight up. If you twist it, you find it twists the scone, and then when they rise at a funny angle. If your dough is really sticky, what you can do is dip your cutter in a little bit of flour, and then you can cut them out. So this recipe should make 6 to 8 scones, depending on how big you make them with your cutter. I'm going to pop them on a lined tray, which I'll show you in a second. This is such a quick thing to do. When I get a bit more confident, I might try doing some cook along lives, but at the moment, it's more the tech that's defeating me. I'm not quite sure what I'm doing. So I thought I'd just keep getting stuff up, and hopefully over the few weeks, as your cooking improves, my technology and slick videos will improve. So we can all learn something new, which would be nice. So I reckon I can get 2 more. So I'm gonna make 6 nice fat scones here. Maybe 7. Go. So if you've got mum at home, it'd be a really nice thing to do to make her for Mother's Day as a treat. Or you can just make them for yourself because you like them. I love scones. They're so simple. They're actually quite low in sugar as well, which is nice. And then this last bit of dough, I'm just going to squash up and I'm going to push it into my cutter. So the best scones, when it comes out the oven, will be from the first set of dough that you've made. The more you work the dough, the less you're going to find it's going to rise. So my scones, they're all cut out. I've got one more job before they go in the oven. I should have said at the beginning, I preheated my oven. The oven is on you want your oven between 180 and 200 degrees. They're going to go in for 10 to 12 minutes. My oven's on 200, it is a fan oven. The last thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to glaze them. So glazing is another skill that you'll see. We'll come back to this when we make some bread. Glazing is often done with milk or with egg white or egg yolk, depending on how shiny you want your scones to be. So if you want a really shiny top, you can always use a bit of egg. Eggs are in short supply at the moment, so I'm saving mine. They become very valuable to me. So I'm just using a bit of milk, and I've brushed it, and you'll see that I've just brushed the top. I haven't let the glaze run down the side. If the glaze runs down the side, they don't rise quite so well. So keep the glaze on the top if you can. If you don't have a pastry brush and you've got clean fingers, you could always just use a finger to pop a bit of glaze on, or don't bother, you could just sprinkle some little bit of flour on to finish them up. So these are going to stay in the oven for 10 minutes, and I will get them out and show you what they are like when they're done. So here they are, all out the oven, well risen, you see, nice and golden on the top. So you can just leave those to cool on a rack for 10 minutes, nice and cool, and serve them with some butter and jam and cream. Happy Mother's Day.